she knew was the right thing to do. And I absolutely love that. And I suppose I've taken bits and pieces out of the way she lived her life and have tried to lead my life that way also.
So where we live now is very different than where you grew up.
Correct.
What are like the differences, both like in just times are changing and also like the environmental factors that are
Right.
different?
Grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, middle class family. Mom stayed at home, and dad worked. Um, you know, growing up, I had friends who lived in the more expensive areas in Lincoln, had beautiful old homes. Parents were, doctors and lawyers and all of that. We never longed for food, but I can tell you, clothing wise, I would pine for the clothes that everyone else had. Izods were popular, or certain kind of shoes, or certain kind of jeans. I think Jordache were popular back in the 80s and all. And I was not able, I would have to buy that myself because we couldn't afford to have all of these nice clothes. So, and I know you've heard this story before. So I would go to, it was kind of a store that took clothing that was it was new, but it was like irregular. Maybe it's missing a button, or there might have been a stain, or whatever. And I would buy my clothes there. And I remember getting this one pair of, they were probably Jordache jeans, and I loved them. I thought they were so cool because everybody else had them. And I realized after I got them home that one pant leg was a little longer than the other. And so, in order to compensate, I would try to like squish up one side, or I'd try to walk in a way so nobody noticed that my pant leg was shorter than the other. But it really taught me a lot about humility. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, I think, living in the environment we do, we tried to raise you girls in a similar manner. We try not to look for the best and brightest new things out there. We try to be incredibly frugal with spending and teaching you how to save, because the world we live in here in Overland Park is there's a lot of money here, and your life might not always be that way. I think struggling is okay. I think it's actually a good thing, and I think it helps you mature. And so, that's kind of something that we kind of keep our eyes on.
Okay, so as you heard, that was a clip of my mom. And if you couldn't hear, that was a question that I asked her. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my thing. That is a question that I asked her about, like, the differences between where she grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and here, because I know some parts of the environment are very similar, and some parts are different just because of times changing. She grew up in like 70s, 80s, and I grew up now. I think also just environmental factors. So I thought something that was super interesting was how clothing is always something that is not like longed for, but super important culturally. I know that at least at my school, Southwest, it's definitely a thing to you have to wear certain things. Like certain groups of people wear certain things. If you're cool, you wear this. I don't know. But that's definitely a thing. Like different styles of clothes are certain, or certain things or items of clothing are more worn in certain groups of people, different like social classes, different things like that, different friend groups. And I think knowing that's always been important. Like my mom said, like she didn't necessarily have the money to have those things, but she found a way just so that she would fit in. And I don't have that problem necessarily, but I don't like buying a ton of new clothes, but I try to usually alter the ones that I do have in order to fit into the current trends, which not everyone has that like opportunity or choice, and some people choose not to do it. But I think that that was super cool, and also just like the humility aspect of it. I think it's super important to like struggle in your life, because if you never know struggle, you're never going to know how to overcome it, and that's something that was important then, I think is super important now. One example that I know of is there's this one of my neighbors actually, his mom like has babied him his whole life, and now he cannot take like any correction. Everything that he does like has to be right, and if he is told that he's doing something wrong, he does not know how to function, or like if he's not doing anything right or something like that. And so I think it's important to be able to like work past hardship, which is something that's always going to be important in society, because if you fail in a class, you're going to have to learn to not just quit. You have to keep on working until you can either bring that grade up or just not let yourself get discouraged, because it's about mindset in that aspect. So yeah, I thought that the interview with my mom went pretty well. There were some stories that brought about that I never would have heard, unless I would have asked her the questions that I did. And I think it's really important that we ask our family members about their like what they went through, because unless they write it down, then it's gonna be lost forever when they like go, or if they like lose those memories, they're never gonna be thought of again. Something else is that I think it's important to show interest in your family members or like older friends, like their childhoods and just how the world was when they were growing up. Because if you show an interest, or like your grandparents, if you show an interest in what they went through, I think that's a super important thing that like can connect you in a deeper way.